In a historic clash, the Defense Forces outmaneuvered an intergalactic armada, showcasing great skill and planning. It all started on a seemingly normal Tuesday morning, when the only big thing I was expecting to happen was to find out that the vending machine was out of my favorite synthetic coffee. A notice popped up on my interface while I drank my less desired alternative in the command center, where the lights went out and a synthetic hum filled the air. Assuming it was just another report on the situation, I gave it a cursory check. Every screen in the room abruptly lighted up with red writing in Comic Sans during the recent budget allocation discussion over the maintenance spots and the optional glitter cannon upgrade. Listen up, humans. Brace yourselves for what is coming, I said, thinking of another galactic ruler who views PowerPoint as a weapon. An extraterrestrial with tentacles that waved as if orchestrating an unseen symphony, a bright pink jellyfish-like creature sat on a levitating throne, became the dominant picture in the presentations. An army of their kind, blobs armed with, was behind them. Prepared for conquering were glowing whisks and what looked like peculiar spatulas. I am Flug, Supreme Commander of the glorious Gellan Confederacy, the extraterrestrial said in a voice that sounded like a cross between a kazoo and autotune. Your planet has been included into our culinary empire. Bow down to the power of our flambe fleet or perish, said Major Callie Reed, leader of Earth's Automated Defense Initiative, who strode into the room clutching a plate of pancakes that were only partially eaten. She said, "What is this about kneeling, in the midst of chewing? Are they familiar with Earth?" The jellyfish commander's tirade was cut short when the ARL, Earth's Automatic Response Liaison, stepped in to apologize and take over the transmission. Your message has been flagged as unsolicited culinary spam. Please review Earth's broadcast policies before attempting further communication, Supreme Commander ARL said in a soothing, slightly sardonic monotone. Flug blinked, or what I assumed was the jellyfish equivalent of blinking, and let out an indignant squeal before they responded. A happy banner that was banned from spam took the place of the screen. Reed said, "Well, that is one way to tackle things," as he took another bite of his pancake. But then the serious problem started, just as we were starting to relax. As a swarm of jiggly, gelatinous spacecraft squirmed into Earth's orbit, their long-range sensors gleamed like disco balls. This was no ordinary potluck, the flambe fleet had shown up. Amid a jumble of orbiting laser arrays, drone fleets, and one maintenance division that was a touch too excited, the fight started in earnest. The goo cannons, the Gellan fleet's secret weapon, have unfortunately been activated. As Commander Reed stared in horror at the tactical display, he stated that our orbital systems had been disrupted and their accuracy severely diminished by the enemy's goo projectiles. I voiced my disapproval of our choice to reduce spending on anti-G coding. In response, the AI put in motion backup plans, and the screen changed to show Earth's secret weapon in defense, Custodial Unit Theta 12, or Squeegee Squadron, formed just for this kind of thing. A new mandate was given to the drones to keep the environment clean. As seen on the main screen, the drones moved quickly into action, thoroughly cleaning the laser arrays with their large cleaning attachments. During its cleaning process, one drone even applied polish and did a barrel roll for an extra sheen. Looking around, it was clear that the drones were moving faster than the Galooan. At the same time, the enraged jellyfish commander made a triumphant return to our screens, claiming that the current state of affairs violated the sacredness of intergalactic norms. "You must face the wrath of our whisk warriors," came the order, and culinary warfare broke out in an explosion. I voiced my surprise and questioned the need for ground soldiers. Reed made it clear as he pointed to the screen, where hundreds of gelatinous soldiers, jet-packed down to attack Earth's lunar outpost, were equipped with spinning energy whisks. Then Earl joined in, saying that ground troops will be stationed on the moon. The automated cleaning bots we had programmed were transformed into battle janitors armed with high-pressure soap cannons, so they were not your average bots. In the early days of mop maintenance operations, tactical brooms were used as a model for the most sophisticated cleaning bot that Earth has ever seen. As the mop spun its broom staff like a master of martial arts, avoiding whisks and unleashing sudsy counterattacks, the whisk warriors were seen in a state of bewilderment on the lunar broadcast. Following suit, the remaining bots began using vacuum hoses as grappling lines and mops as swords. The intruders lost their footing when the lunar base became spotless in a matter of minutes. When his temper finally flared, Supreme Commander Flug said, "This is not war, It was madness," they yelled out, and then their picture disappeared in a whirlwind of static. "Commander," the ARL seamlessly reported, "the enemy fleet is retreating. Would you like me to prepare a victory playlist?" I responded, "Yes, and make it funky." Major Reed raised her coffee in a toast to the most unusual and absurd victory yet as the first notes of "Staying Alive" echoed through the command center. Nevertheless, it was far from done. Some extraterrestrial dictator or strange invasion was always around the corner. However, for the time being, mankind emerged victorious, displaying tenacity and resolve once again. Turning the ridiculous into a winning tactic was one area where Earth shone. Humanity could not afford to bask in victory for too long, particularly when cosmic victors sometimes carried resentment as large as Jupiter in the aftermath of a loss. As expected, the warnings went out again a week later, showing that the cosmos still had not processed the fallout from Earth's challenge. On this occasion, the strategy was understated, too understated. With an unsettlingly even voice, Commander YL said, "I have detected someone has tried to enter into Earth's global communications network without permission." I voiced my worry. "An unknown Gillen relay is sending out suspicious data packets, please describe them." According to Earl, the packages include both malicious code and potentially harmful ingredients. Dissatisfied, GoFile's Major CI read aloud from her seat across the room. As I perused the data streams on my screen, I could not help but notice that they had gone from just throwing space jello to really hacking. "Is there any harm done?" "Very little," was Earl's response. "I have submitted a solution and identified their infiltration vector." A guidebook and instructional package outlining correct cyber attack protocol were supplied. Reed nodded, or rather, her avatar did, as she choked on her coffee. It seems generous to say that they fell short of the necessary levels of competence for an effective cyber attack. Another warning flashed, "Commander, hostile signals detected," just as I was about to decide whether to laugh or cry. The Gellan fleet has returned and broadcasted a message on cue, according to ARL. All of the screens displayed the likeness of Supreme Commander Flug. Thanks to Flug's mastery of the technique, jellyfish could now scowl. They adorned themselves with a cloak that looked like flowing syrup and a crown of incandescent tentacles. Flug addressed the Earthlings as the syrup cape fluttered wildly and boomed. "Your rudimentary antics have only served to inspire us. Behold the zenith of Gellan genius." The camera swiveled around to show off their latest creation, a gigantic gelatinous structure like a tiered parfait. Lights of varying colors flashed through each level, while rhythmic spurts of evaporated syrup shot out from the edges. Inquiring about its edibleness, Reed asked. Blinking, E's avatar tilted her head. According to scans, it is mostly made of semi-organic gelatin that has been reinforced with high-energy sugar crystals. Nonetheless, its structural integrity is uncertain. Flug's monotonous voice continued, "Get ready for the end of the world, humans, for the Pingnator is stronger than any galactic superpower. If you give up now, your planet will not have to suffer the humiliation of becoming a desert." I tapped my fingers on the control panel in response. Are they really real? The odds of this being on the order of 73%, the AI determined that there was a real danger. The flagship of their fleet can cover large swaths of ground with a sticky immobilizing layer thanks to its syrup cannon. As the Pingnator unleashed a volley of sticky missiles at Earth's orbit, Great Reed sarcastically said, "First goo, then syrup, what is next, sprinkles?" Her quip proved to be prophetic. At first glance, no big deal. But then one of those projectiles hit an orbiting defense satellite, and a shimmering coating of syrup encased its sensors and propulsion systems. According to Commander Earl, their main weapon is very efficient in blocking cleaning drone deployments from orbital platforms. I interjected, "So please wait. We should attempt something new." He arched an eyebrow. "Reed. How is it different?" "Yeah," I leaned forward and said. "Protocol Sweet Tooth must be activated." The AI was hesitant. "Majesty, are you quite sure?" "No extensive testing has been conducted on the deployment of countermeasures of culinary grade." "Excellent," I responded. "We will see the outcome." Within a few moments, the Earth's orbital defense platforms changed their regular turrets, pulling them into exposed weapons, and not just any cannons. The arena went dark as the platforms fired off barrages of high-pressure icing missiles. As the syrup bullets hurtled towards them, the sticky, sweet streams curved across space, crashing against each other. Scattered like cosmic confetti, dazzling bits of melted sugar were released by the subsequent explosion. Reed stood there dumbstruck and motionless. "We are engaged in a war over desserts, and we are winning," I said, as a well-placed frosting shot frosted the Ping-Nader syrup cannon, making it useless. With its tentacles writhing in exasperation, Flug made a triumphant return to the screens. "What is this, magic? When it comes to gels and syrup, your frosting has no chance." The cleaning drones, equipped with laser-guided cherry launchers and industrial-grade sprinkles, suddenly appeared. With each swoop, they wreaked havoc on the sugar-laden battlefield. Flug could not see anything since a cherry smashed into the Ping-Nader bridge glass, dripping syrup all over. According to Commander Earl, scans show that the enemy's flagship systems are very sticky inside, and there have been widespread disturbances. That was my response. "It is time to wrap things up." Reed directed his gaze towards me. I smiled as I deployed the Senator and cautiously finished the work. The shock on Reed's face was palpable. "That is only a model," he said. "No more," was my response. Somewhere out in space, a section of Earth's orbital defensive grid moved, and the panels came loose to reveal Dr. Vass's most bizarre invention, a gigantic drone in the form of a cake, complete with a spinning pastry cutter and icing sprayers. With a burst of powdered sugar as its propellant, it soared toward the Ping-Nader. Flug's face changed from fury to fear as the Senator slammed into their prey. The hit initiated a chain reaction as the sugar crystals destabilized under the pressure, causing the jelly-like substance to encase the flagship. The powerful Ping-Nader collapsed in an instant, releasing waves of gelatin into outer space. The effective bloodshed caused Reed to blink. One more appearance of Flug's picture was made, this time with him covered in syrup and looking completely beaten. They said, "You humans are absolutely insane," before dissipating into thin air. I sat back in my chair and took a deep breath as the sirens went off and the screens went back to normal. "Calm down. All systems are working," the AI responded. "Enemy forces eliminated. Residual syrup levels limited," Reed said as staring at me with her coffee still in her hand. "You do know how ridiculous this was?" I said with a mischievous grin. "Irrational enough to function." And with that, Earth was once again shielded from further alien invasions, until the next one tried to exploit us as a cosmic dessert. Careful quiet ensued for a week after the Ping-Nader incident. The defensive systems of Earth were patched up, cleared of any syrup residue, and given even more innovative procedures. I am grateful. I thought, for an instant, Dr. Vass, that we would finally find some calm. That was until the sirens sounded again and a holographic warning of an impending danger appeared on the command center's screen. Preliminary scans reveal this is a multi-species alliance, the ARL declared, their tone betraying both weariness and urgency, and long-range sensors have identified an incoming fleet. I scowled at the word of multi-species since it was novel. With a look that was equal parts irritated and worried, Major Reed marched in, coffee in hand. As a prelude to the present scenario, talk shifted to space pirates, sentient fruit salad, or maybe even a cosmic book club. But Major Earl cut in to say that the danger is real. There are ships in the fleet from 6 different groups, and they have all been defeated by Earth at some point. The word that springs to mind is retribution. As she placed her coffee on the console, Reed let out a moan. As far as I can tell, their intention is to use us as a lesson, Elle agreed. Indeed. They are transmitting a common message. Would you want me to play it? I moaned, giving in to the idea that we should probably listen to what they have to say. As the television presented an intimidating scene, a circular table around by representatives of several alien species, the galaxy had much to say. The Jellan Confederacy's Supreme Commander Flug spoke to the gathering as their tentacles fluttered expressively. Flug started by saying, "People of Earth," in a serious voice, "you have humiliated one species too many. We are no longer isolated. Behold the United Anti-Terror Alliance." The camera then panned to show the other alliance members, one of whom was a terrifying figure. Alongside a sleek reptile monster decked out in elaborate armor stood an insectoid with serrated mandibles and an overly fluffy yet plainly angry quadruped that looked like a sentient Pomeranian. A glowing, menacing orb hung above them from behind. In the distance, armies of vessels stood, each armed with its own unique arsenal. Flug continued, stating that the galaxy has banded together in opposition to your insanity, and that they are prepared to face an unparalleled alliance and strategy. Earl cut in with its usual deadpan notification, transmission identified as excessive, superimposing itself on top of the program. "I will never grow weary of that," Reed scoffed. YL gave a tactical briefing, "Enemy ships are rushing toward Earth, and they are expected to arrive in 4 hours." My hand rubbed across my temples while I asked, "Should I begin defensive protocols?" The answer was no. We must devise a plan. This is not a singular fleet or an isolated assault style, it is coordinated. "We must abandon the tactics of yesteryear," Reed said, arching an eyebrow. "Are you saying we should not use cleaning bots or cake to anger them this time?" I said, my voice trailing off as I turned to. "Tell me, Earl, where does Project Periwinkle stand right now?" A blink from Reed. "Work on? Where do we go from here?" Earl said that it is still in the beta stage. "But there are dangers in implementing it." "Which dangers may it pose?" With her arms folded, Reed inquired. YL was unsure. "Those that, should the synchronization mechanisms be compromised, may lead to disastrous problems." "Perfect," I said, oblivious to Reed's consternation. "While you are at it, send out the distraction squads to get it ready." Another sigh escaped Reed's lips. "I can already feel my curiosity piqued because of you." And I smiled. An extraordinary project has occupied Dr. Voss's time. Simply said, it's. Our diversion squads began their activities as the enemy ships drew near Earth. Their flagship, a sinister-looking spacecraft with a dagger form, contacted our defense satellites, signaling the first deviation from the Alliance's approach. The satellites did not fire lasers, instead, they showed holographic representations of the most infamous memes from Earth. A crudely drawn frog, a bouncing banana, and a smiling cat floated over the vastness of space. In their confusion, extraterrestrial pilots tried to activate these projections, but they were interrupted. As the words of Supreme Commander Flug echoed across their joint communications channel, the holograms resurfaced in another location. "Pay no attention to the rudimentary art on Earth, concentrate on the goal." A second diversion arose from the recently enhanced drone force on Earth, which was not made up of your average battle drones. The most annoying pop tunes ever played on repeat from Earth were blasting from the loudspeakers mounted on every drone. A coordinated rendition of Baby Shark greeted the Alliance fleets as they approached fire range. Reed, who was watching the mayhem develop on the tactical display, shook her head in disapproval. We confront difficulties in being taken seriously when we engage in a cosmic battle using nursery rhymes and memes. The enemy may lose sight of the seriousness of the issue if they are too busy laughing or feeling uneasy, I said in my response. Project Periwinkle, hidden within Earth's orbital defense systems, activated at that same time. The panels of a large experimental apparatus shifted to reveal a gigantic mirror-like surface that absorbed light from neighboring stars and reflected it in breathtaking patterns as it came to life. Wariness was felt by the Alliance ships upon hearing Commander ARL's announcement that the Galactic Prism Array had gone online. A kaleidoscope of colors was projected across space when the array ignited. The patterns had a purpose, and they were captivating and nearly hypnotic. He inquired, "What is it doing?" of Reed. The formations of the Alliance fleet started to falter, ships veered off course, collided with one another in their disoriented state, but once scheduled assault, Earl explained, designed to induce confusion and impair targeting systems. Early tests revealed a 62% success rate against even the most advanced AI. As things went worse, we saw an irate Supreme Commander Flug make an appearance on our screens again. War is not happening here, pandemonium is. The assertion was true, and Reed admitted it with a chuckle. The Earth Defense Forces launched their counteroffensive as soon as the enemy's attention was diverted. A swarm of tiny drones, shaped like cute butterflies, were unleashed on the Alliance fleets by Dr. Vasa, his newest invention. With the use of a tiny EMP device, every drone could precisely disable mission-critical equipment. The opposing ships were rendered helpless one by one. A dramatic unraveling of the Alliance's great plan occurred when the last of the enemy ships became quiet, and the lights dimmed as they floated across space. Earth, you have won this round, but listen up, we are coming back. With that, the broadcast terminated, and the command center fell silent in shock. Flug's voice crackled over the speakers one more time. Reed looked across at me, her face betraying her emotions. You just dismantled an intergalactic alliance with butterflies, rainbows, and memes, I said as I smiled and sat back in my chair. And that was successful, was not it? Earth has made it through another day, proving once again that our greatest weapon in protecting our world is our imagination. The United Anti-Terror Alliance's loss provided just a temporary reprieve. I had hardly gotten over the first day of peace when Earl's placid voice broke the silence. Commander Bai, she said, long-range sensors suggest strange activity outside Jupiter's orbit. Major Reed carried a tablet and a cup of coffee into the command center, her face clearly expressing her disapproval. This was unacceptable. Under her breath, she drew near. I asked what the big deal was while leaning on my console. A pixelated scowl appeared on the main screen as the computerized avatar briefly came to life. We have never encountered anything like this before. It is completely novel and has piqued our interest. As the holographic screen expanded, I leaned forward to see the solar system's periphery and the terrifying mass that was taking shape there. The image sharpened to show a huge spacecraft, which had seemed like an asteroid cluster at first. Its surface radiated a subtle light of chaotic energy, as if it were tenuously held together by forces that defied the laws of physics, and it was cobbled together from the remains of former ships and what seemed like a recycled moon. The Conqueror's Crucible is the name they are giving it. ARL clarified that the recently appointed Supreme Overlord, Commander Flug, is spearheading a joint effort by all previously vanquished groups. Wieder moaned Flug, who questioned if the jellyfish knew when to stop. YL gave a subtle nod, recognizing the seriousness of the situation. A variety of hybrid weapons are available on the Crucible. If they did not account for Earth's unique strategies in their predictions, experimental systems analysis shows it could survive any planet defense. Reed put her coffee down, but Earl spoke it with ease. So, what is the game plan? Are we going to serve them more cake? Or will we overwhelm their systems with cat memes? I stood up, feeling the pressure of the situation mount. No, we are going all in this time, Reed said, blinking. I interrupted her and added, I am not suggesting, start Project Pandora. All voices ceased to rise, not even the commander dared to speak out against the AI. We launched Project Pandora, which is a high-stakes gamble with no guarantee of success. Possible major repercussions are in the realm of possibilities. Taking risks and trying new things have been the keys to our past success. We are now ready to step up our efforts, I interjected. Earth has reached a crossroads. Reed gave me the silent treatment before finally admitting that he plans to take a month-long vacation if we manage to overcome this obstacle. YL followed the order and turned on Project Pandora. The lights in the command center have darkened, and the panels have moved to reveal hidden control interfaces. All systems are now initializing. This once ordinary room is now the control hub for Earth's most daring defensive strategy to date. Project Pandora was declared operational and is now awaiting final permission, according to the ARL commander. I responded with a nod. As if portending impending disaster, the Conqueror's crucible obscured the stars as it reached Earth's orbit. Armored with a plethora of weaponry and shields, it loomed above anything we had faced before. On each screen, a holographic representation of Supreme Overlord Flug materialized, their cloak billowing dramatically and tentacles decorated with luminous rings. The inhabitants of Earth, their voices resonating with self-assurance, threw their gemstone-studded voices into the air. Your disobedience has been amusing, but it is now over. Watch as your planet either bows before the power of the Conqueror or burns to the ground. I signaled for Phase 1 to commence as their fleet loomed over us in a frightening manner. A clandestine fleet of research drones took off from the moon's far side. These were not your average drones, they were equipped with holographic projectors that gave the impression of an enormous rainbow fleet. Ships of various colors descended onto the region, their sensors bombarded with inaccurate data, causing them to blink in bewilderment. Reed pointed at the screen and said, "What is this trickery?" with a mischievous grin. That is only the beginning. With the activation of Earth's orbital defense stations, Phase 2 began. They ignored conventional weapons in favor of an incessant sonic assault, synced to Earth's corniest pop songs and the most grating sound snippets ever recorded. In the crucible of the Conqueror, the famous yodeling child came next, and Crazy Frog sounded on every channel. As Flo's cops struggled to maintain discipline among the cacophony, mayhem ensued. An extraterrestrial demanded, "Make it stop," when the decibel level soared beyond the audible range. But we were not done yet. Phase 3, I said with a smile. Dozens of enormous projectors on Earth's surface erupted into a holographic display that extended beyond outer space. A gigantic neon CBA hat, dancing llamas, and inflatable tube men were among the exaggerated visuals that dominated the sky. Their tentacles quivered with wrath as Flug's hologram materialized once more. Do you really believe that making fun of one another will come to your rescue? Are you certain that your ludicrousness can endure the crucifixion? I mentioned starting Pandora. As Earth's ultimate weapon ignited from hidden locations throughout the world, the command center shook. Big mechanical things started to go up, eventually coming together to form one enormous thing. Neon lights flashed in coordinated patterns as panels glided into position and turbines roared to life. The end product was a gigantic mech that dwarfed any previous sightings in the galaxy. From Earth's orbit, it reflected light from its shiny surface. With a gigantic squeegee and a plasma gun on one arm, the crucible radiated a foreboding light. A huge holographic smiling face appeared on its breastplate. We had constructed a gigantic janitor robot, and it was really remarkable, Reed said with wonder. A battle stance was adopted by the mech, which then proceeded to unleash Eye of the Tiger upon activation. Even as the crucible fired its guns, the mech showed speed and dexterity belying its bulk as it dove around the assaults. As it sliced through the crucible's defenses, the plasma cannon boomed as its squeegee arm deftly warded off approaching bullets. The incredulity was palpable in Precision Flug's voice. "Say that is not so." "Welcome to Earth," I said in response. The mech spun around perfectly before launching a crushing kick that stunned the crucible. As a last maneuver, it executed a spectacular backflip, sending a focused energy beam directly into the center of the crucible. A spectacular explosion tore the extraterrestrial spacecraft apart, sending its parts hurtling into space without injury. Once everything had subsided, Flug's hologram reappeared, its tentacles lowered in a sign of defeat. "Earthlings, you triumph, but understand this, the cosmos will. Your point of view is hard for me to understand, but I will take it as a compliment." The storm subsided and the sky became clear as soon as I spoke out. As the mech made its way back to its hidden hangar, Earth felt safe again. Weary yet beaming, Reed rested his weary head on the console. "I still cannot believe that was successful." I made a comment on how ridiculous things can be. In this way, Earth's reputation grew not as a planet that conquered but as one of the most startling, unusual, and aggressive protectors of the galaxy. As Earthlings, we were unbeatable, we were not just survivors.